All right, guys. So today we're going to continue and we're going to go over Jared Tendler. He created this book and it was about trading psychology. And it was one of the first books that I read in the market. And it was really a game changer. So I thought we could get into some of those points today for you guys. So let's get straight into it. So the myth of the trading, right? Everybody thinks that the goal is to eliminate emotion completely for your trading. That's just not true, right? There's productive emotions, ones such as passion, drive, curiosity. Removing these emotions actually kills your motivation. So it's not what you need to be doing. Traders are always trying to say on here, remove your emotions, delete your emotions, right? But this is completely impossible and this is very harmful. So the aim is optimal performance, right? If we want optimal performance, right? We want optimal performance, right? We don't want robotic behavior, right? We don't want to be this person who is completely acting like a robot with no discretion, right? The problem here is excessive emotion, not the emotions itself. It makes sense. It's the fact that you have too many emotions at play at once. That's your problem. So the real enemy is faulty perspectives, right? The excessive emotion, what we just talked about, this comes from flawed beliefs running in the background day in and day out. So an example of this faulty belief is the idea that I must make money every day, right? When you don't reach this, it's going to be flawed, right? And this flaw triggers excessive emotions, right? Ones such as anger, frustration, FOMO, right? I bet you felt that before. And when you feel these excessive emotions, these negative emotions, they are what cause you to make bad decisions. Those bad decisions, revenge trading, oversizing, ultimately losing your prop firm account, right? So we need to find the optimal zone, right? Performance is a spectrum. We all know this. And there's extremes on both ends of the spectrum. Under aroused, right? Boredom, low energy. This is no focus, right? You don't want to be that. The optimal zone is what you want to be, is calm, focused, and engaged, right? You can also be over aroused. This happens probably more than happens under aroused, because somewhere like the market, why would you be under aroused, right? There's a potential to make life-changing money. So most of these little teenager boys are going to be over aroused. So they're going to be fearful, whether they know it or not, right? Greedy, and ultimately making mistakes. So every single trader, you need your own balance, right? You need to avoid both sides of this. You want to avoid the bored, disinterested, tired side, but you also really want to avoid the over-interested, fearful, and greedy side, right? Balance is the key here. So there's a hijacking mechanism that's taking at play every single day. It starts off when the emotions spike, because they shut down your complete brain's emotional control system. So imagine that. These emotions that you have no control over shut down your control system. Wait. And then moving into number 5, we have the hijacking mechanism, right? So when emotions rise too high, they shut down the part of the brain that is responsible for controlling emotions, right? So emotional overload blocks your ability to stop making bad decisions, right? You don't even see why it's wrong until after. Only after, once your emotions are settled down, that's when you see, right? You could notice it during the time, but you don't feel like you can intervene, right? I bet you felt this before. Well, you're making a mistake. You're doing something you know you shouldn't be doing. And in that time, you know you shouldn't, right? You observe it, but you can't stop. It feels like that revenge train. You just can't. So this awareness, it's not an excuse, right? This is a starting point to prevent these things from happening and creating systems to really become a profitable trader. So you have to decode your mind. Your mind has 3 signals, and these are going to be important to understanding yourself. So the first one is the instinct, right? This is your unconscious competence, right? This is a hardwired skill. No new learning. This is who you are at the baseline, right? Secondly, we have masquerading emotion. This is your fear of missing out. It's disguised as intuition, and physical cues are able to show you, right? This is why a lot of the time I like to film myself while I'm trading, because you can see how you are while you're trading. Tighten chest, shallow breathing, death grip on the mouse, biting your nails. These are so many different things. But after a while, you're able to see that that's exactly what's showing you. It's giving you the sign that you're about to crash the fuck out, right? So true intuition, right? This happens when real pattern recognition base is known at a deep knowledge, right? So like you really know after months and years of experience how you're acting, and true intuition is what you want to get to. But right now, most of people think they're running that true intuition just completely based off of greed and fear and intuition. So the path from novice to expert. So it starts at conscious competence, right? You need full focus to perform. High emotion temporarily blocks access to this knowledge, so you need to make sure that you have relatively stable emotions. There's a good Tiger Woods analogy, and this is just that mastery takes time, but not just time, it takes time under pressure, right? So if you're escaping that feel of pressure, well, you're never actually going to get better. You're never going to become the best. The best handle that pressure, right? Backtesting is not live trading, right? You need live repetitions every day to build this real skill. And there's a trader's feedback loop. One trade is just one moment, right? It's not the whole game, right? We're playing the probabilities. You know that. There's a key point here, right? And this is about the academic mindset, right? It's when you're failing, what you have to do is you have to study more. You have to push harder. This could not be more wrong than trading. This literally just leads to strategy hopping, right? Because when it gets hard, you're going to switch to something else where you can study more, right? Something else where there's more videos, there's more YouTube videos, there's more PDFs on it, right? There's more courses on it, right? Blah, blah, blah. Sports mindset, right? That's what you need to have, right? You need to have a sports mindset where a missed pass or a bad play does not change the game, right? It doesn't change the goal. It doesn't change what you're going to do the next play, right? You're not going to, because you missed a point, right? You're not going to just shoot up the whole place, right? It doesn't make sense. You need to treat each trade as just one play, right? It's a play. Once the play is over, you got to move on. You got to switch to the next play, right? The symptom versus the cause, right? Stoic techniques, walking away and breathing, right? That can treat your short-term stress. So the real issue here is the underlying belief that causes the emotion, right? Emotions don't come from nothing. They come from beliefs. So some of the causes are perfectionism, unrealistic expectations, or fear of losing. For a lot of people, it's the fact that you got into this as a get-rich-quick scheme. You got into this thinking you'll make a lot of money and a lot of money quick, and you're not. So it starts to hit you over time, and you realize that you're not meeting your unrealistic expectations, and that's what's going to start your crash outs. So you want to fix this by building new and realistic beliefs and forcing them on you until they're becoming instinctive, part of who you are. That's what's going to reduce the mental strain that is spent fighting yourself and put that onto reading the markets. So, system first, psychology second, right? Your edge is always going to come before psychology, right? Believing that trading is 90% psychology or whatever, that's what hides a bad system, right? So if somebody's telling you, yeah, trading is 90% psychology, well, they don't want to be held accountable for their actual trades. They're hiding their bad system. Psychology does make up a good portion. Psychology does make up a good portion of it, but that's just not the case, right? You can't make money without a real edge. Psychology is literally just that what your executing system is consistently over a long period of time. It's how you're able to continue doing it, right? The goal is to unify both of them, right? You want system plus psychology. It's not one or the other. Oh my God, dude, try to reverse the camera. Okay. So the difference is the mathematical edge, right? It's not the tools or the plans people use, right? Trader Opposite operates with a positive edge, right? They're pretty much the house. The gambler, on the other hand, he trades without an edge, right? He has an edge, but he has emotional decisions that stop making it. So which one are you? Obviously, we know what we want to be. The social media trap, right? So mindless scrolling online, this weakens your focus and your internal discipline. It's hard to be a good trader if you're going to have no internal discipline and weak focus, right? It also creates false expectations. People don't know this a lot, but I mean, half the traders on here, more than half, well, you're just not going to make money trading. And then half of the people who do to make money, you're not going to make consistent money. It's just the numbers, right? It's hard to understand, but you have to work hard. You have to work hard if you're going to try to be with the best, right? So we've already created in our head false expectations about what trading success is going to be like. And that's what's going to drain mental energy that's needed for people's intuition. This is needed for different things, but you need to keep your mental energy, right? Stop spending it on false expectations or fear of missing out, these different problems. Curate your consumption intentionally, right? Be directional with everything. What you consume is important, right? I can't explain how many people are probably going to rather watch 30 different fight videos rather than just watching this 10-minute presentation. You don't even need to know what I'm saying, but these slides are very valuable and could be the tipping point to profitability. Don't be on your phone while you're trading, simple as that, but also take breaks for your phone. Take breaks from your phone, right? Learn to tolerate that feeling of boredom. Maybe you feel pressure from outside. Learn to tolerate that feeling of pressure. That's what's going to make you into a good trader. Now, the next is the prop firm paradox, right? It's a prop firm danger, right? Because in the prop firms, you have an easy reset button. We live in America, at least most of us, and $50 for Americans, especially for a lot of us, which are luckily pretty blessed, I would say, if we're able to spend time, trading. We're obviously somewhat blessed, but we have an easy reset button. We have to pay $50 and we can get a whole new funded account, right? So real traders, they're going to develop their skills in drawdowns, not resets, right? So when it gets hard, when you're down, let's say when I started trading, I had a 150K account, I remember, and I got it down to 148K. And I was so pissed because it was with TPT. So I spent like $150 to $200 on that account, and I was just insanely bummed at myself that I even let that happen. But I wasn't going to pull the plug and just set the reset button. No, right? You have to trade in your drawdown. If you don't try it during a prop firm, right? If you think, fuck, I'm already down 2K. Well, we just have to full port and we'll just get a new one, right? That is the stupidest thing you could possibly do. This avoids your growth, and this is exactly what prop firms need you to do. You need to trade in your drawdown, right? If you're in drawdown, shorten risk, 0.25, 0.5% risk, right? The best mindset you can have is to treat prop firms as incubators toward trading your own capital, right? So it's just a place where you're able to quickly get capital over time and then move it to your own accounts, right? All right. The engine of longevity. Well, long-term success requires more than just a good system, right? You will not be just long-term profitable if you trade sweep of liquidity plus inversion fair value gap. No shit, right? You need to manage your energy. Both mental, emotional, physical, all these energies must be managed. What sustains a really long career is passion and curiosity, right? Curiosity is what's going to keep you going. The reason I'm still doing this, why I'm creating these different things that I've read before, I've already understand, is because I'm just so curious about it. I love it. I'm so passionate. I'm so curious about the idea of trading psychology, the idea of what happens to traders who lose so much. Why do they lose so much? What causes this, right? As a trader, you need to accept that no trade is a valid decision and is a decision you're going to need to make more times than not, right? No trade is always going to be better than a lose. Not a loss, but a loss you're supposed to take is going to be better than not trading, right? Because at least you're executing your system. Next, resting and recharging are part of the job, right? That's literally what the weekend's for, right? On the weekend, I like to really just get off the charts, go to nature, go do something, and Sunday evening we come back, we lock in. Trading is a marathon. Even scalping, they kind of trick you into thinking that it's a sprint, right? It's a get your money as quick as possible. Yeah, maybe right now it is, but this is over years and years and years of trading. This is a marathon for any trader, investor, day trader, scalper, swing trader. This is all a marathon. It's not a sprint race, right? You're not getting done, right? 10 trades is not your sample size, right? Your sample size should be thousands of trades. The last thing that we're going to go over, guys, is shift from fighting emotion to understanding and correcting your faulty beliefs that cause the emotion. Secondly, shift from instinctual reactions to building true intuition, right? Something valuable, true understanding of the system and psychology. Lastly, you want to shift from that exam academic mindset to the sports/professional performance mindset, that growth mindset. Lastly, understand that mastering yourself that's when you unlock your true edge.